Welcome back. It's good to see everybody. Instead of me reading this out loud today, I'm going to have the author read it to you. So we'll be going forward. At one point, we're going to kind of fast forward a little bit. That's the time where you'd want to come back to slide 1 and click on that triangle that says author read aloud. So let's take a look at what we could do if we don't have a computer today. Right? For those of you who don't have a computer, you should have paper from Mr. Surface. If you don't have paper yet, now's time to get it. If you don't have a pencil yet, now's definitely the time to get it. Come on now. So you are going to be writing your essay on paper, and you'll be doing your annotations on paper, right? One thing you might want to do in advance is to make an underline up here. Right? That's going to be your thesis. And then you're going to have 3 body paragraphs. So what I would do is do like a little arrow. And let me shrink this so it's a little bit not as big, right? You'll indent here. That'll be a body paragraph answering the TDA question. It'll be about 7 sentences on average. And then here, and then so on and so on. All right, so you can go ahead and draw those arrows on the paper now because you'll be writing your TDA on that paper later, as will many others. So take a look. This is a word cloud, which means I took the entire book or important parts of the book and a review about it, and I boiled it all down. So the bigger the word, the more important it is. Let's just go ahead and highlight the big words first. All right, let's get mustard yellow because it's a beautiful color, and I see the word talk right away. I see little boy, mom, little man, beautiful. Those are the 3 biggest words that I saw. Maybe kisses, I'm not quite sure. Now, how does society influence identity and experience? Well, family is a type of society. I'd like you to look at this picture and see if you find any, and highlight it in orange, see if you find anything that has something to do with family. Take the time to do that now. All right. Nice work, everybody. So on slide 4, here's our guiding prompt for the book, The Talk by Alicia D. Williams. Authors often reinforce their central idea through repetition. How does the author of The Talk reinforce her central idea through repetition? Write an essay using the text to support your answer. So we've got the prompt here, and we've got the 2 dots for you to grab. Now, for those of you on paper, you would just write down the 2 most important words. And you can write those down right here in the margins. That's the side of the paper, right? This side here. So go ahead and you guys will write down the 2 most important words on the side there. Everyone else, drag the red dots. Take the time to do that now, please. All right. The talk, right? And now we're going to talk about this idea, the central idea. What is that? Well, drag a blue over here. The central idea is the main focus of the text, right? Another way to talk about it is the essential idea or ideas that help you understand the passage. My guess is going to have something to do with this word talk. So I'm going to drag my important light bulb here and put it by the word talk. And then what do I have questions about? For instance, what's McCoy? I don't recognize that. Do I think about central idea? Yeah, probably talk again. And thus begins the book. So at this point, if your teacher hasn't already, they're going to click on the author read aloud, and it'll show up. It's not the longest story in the world, but it is a great story. All right, there it is. So it's the author herself who reads through it. I'm just going to zip through it now. All right. And that leads us to our essay. Notice how at the top we've got authors often reinforce their central idea through repetition. How does the author of the talk reinforce her central idea through repetition? Write an essay using the text to support your answer. So as you were reading, did they repeat anything? What sort of things were repeated? Those sort of things you want to take care of business on right here. What's one thing they repeated? Whoops. What's one thing they repeated?
Hello.
Hey, what's 2 things they repeated? And what's three things they repeated? I'm recording a video, but if it's going to goofy, you just let me know. All right. So each of those reasons will be their own body paragraph. There's body paragraph 1, there's body paragraph 2, and there's body paragraph 3, each about the three different things that were repeated or reinforced to help you understand the central idea of the book. Let me show an example of what one of these body paragraphs will look like. So if you could highlight this one orange for me. Highlight this one orange for me. That way you know it's just one body paragraph that we're looking at. All right, slide 28, please. So take a look at the right. You'll see central ideas at the top. Why? Because a central idea is included in the prompt itself. What reinforces the central idea? Okay? Here we've got our topic sentence. The author of the talk reinforces a central idea, so please highlight that, by celebrating Black family and culture in spite of society when she repeats comparisons of Jay and friends to great figures in Black history. Well, now we're really cooking. We have said what the central idea is, right? And we've said that it has something to do with repetition. I will get to that soon, right? Because this is not the only part where they mention this. The story of the talk revolves around Jay, Jay's friends, and Jay's family. There's their family here. So let's switch it over to blue, highlight family, and put a little box around his family over here. There they all are. As he grows up, his grandfather takes the time to tell stories. About what? He grows up in time to tell stories about great Black athletes like John Carlos, Wilma Rudolph, and Jesse Owens. As Jay grows up, his grandfather preaches caution due to stereotypes of troublemaking alongside his stories of Black achievement. Grandpa, here's a quote. So we're going to switch to green. I'm going to highlight that quotation mark there, and I'm going to highlight the quotation mark at the end to show you that this particular part, that's the quote. It comes straight from the book. It doesn't come from Mr. Surface, doesn't come from the student. It comes from the author of the talk. So let's take a look. Grandpa says, I believe y'all could be the next Thurgood Marshall, Elijah McCoy, and Bessie Coleman. Right? And there's the three of those that they're being compared to right there behind them in like a silhouette. And then here on this side, there's a picture of the athletes that they're kind of racing alongside. So it's something that happens a minimum twice, but they also repeat the names, making a total of 6 important figures from Black history. But some fools might think you're the next troublemaker. We don't understand. We're only hanging out. But Grandpa says that don't matter. Switch it on over, please, to purple. This sad and sobering coupling of achievement with the unfair stereotyping by society prompts the family to have the talk, the name of the book, with Jay. Here is our if and then. Please highlight that word if. If Grandpa had only focused on Black achievement, comma, Jay and his friends might unwittingly put themselves in a dangerous, albeit grossly unfair, situation. This important, there's that word important, awareness of celebration and prudence is the central idea of the talk. There's a celebration and prudence being practiced, both, right? And our if and then right there used to analyze. Your job now is to go ahead and take the time to read this prompt and to read this thesis and body paragraph out loud, and then to give it a grade that you think it deserves. That means that you should probably take the time to open the Vocaroo now and then click the microphone. Boom. So now that you got the microphone recording you, right, you're going to go over there and read what's in the red. Well, first they're asking, would you give this TDA paragraph response a 4 out of 4, a 3 out of 4, a 2 out of 4, a 1 out of 4, or a 0? So you got to read it to figure it out. And of course, you're going to read the whole thing. But right now, your job is to read just the red out loud. I'm only going to read the top red part, and then I'm going to give you a chance to take care of business on your own. Let's go ahead and do it. How does the author of the talk reinforce her central idea through repetition? Write an essay using the text to support your answer. Then underneath that is the thesis statement, and underneath that is the body paragraph. That body paragraph is in red, which means that you are going to read it out loud. Please take the time to read that out loud now. All right. Excellent job reading that. If you haven't had a chance, go to Vocaroo, click stop, click save and share, click the double blocks there, and then Control V that right over there. So when I go back to listen to how your fluency is coming along, you'll get the points you deserve. All right. Then, of course, you need to tell me what grade you gave it. Right. I would give this TDA paragraph response a 4 out of 4 because. And then you would go on to praise it. Or if you give it a 1 out of 4, you'd go on to trash it. All right. Please take the time to finish that sentence starter now. Excellent work. So now you've got a chance to write your own TDA. Whatever you have to write a text-dependent analysis, you have to find what the question or the command is and turn it into a statement. So how does the author of the talk reinforce her central idea through repetition? Well, you would just write get rid of how, get rid of does, and put the author of the talk reinforces her central idea through repetition when 1, 2, and 3, period. Obviously, if you're writing it, you would just write that right now, all right? If you don't have a computer, that's too bad. You got to write it. Come on. Now, each of those body paragraphs underneath are going to be about either 1, 2, or 3. So you can copy and paste that 3 times, but each time just leave one number. When 3. When 2. When 1. Boom. Then you give yourself a grade when you're finished writing that TDA. Obviously, that won't be right away. You'll give yourself a grade on all of these slides here. And then if there's time at the end, we're going to do some negative space poetry or blackout poetry, all right? These are to supplement class or they're for coverage should we find the happy occasion to be together as a result of that circumstance. So black out all but 3 small images. So put it on pencil. I would make it as big as it go. Put it on black and find 3 interesting parts that you want to leave alone. I like the moon. I like the top of that peak, and I like the guy with the light. So I remember those are what I like to do is I sort of black it all out like that. And then I use the eraser to find those particular spots. So there's 1. There's 2. And then there's the moon up here. All right. So those are my 3 little spots. I'm going to make it clear that I heard the directions. So I'm going to cut off the moon and the peak there. Yeet. Just like that. Boom. Now it's your job to find 3 things on the page that you like. Sometimes it's helpful if you like circle the part that you like first and then you sort of black out around it. So I like, for instance, I like this like celebratory, ow. I like this coyote back here, and I like this swirl of peach color here, right? And then the rest I'm going to highlight. Now maybe you choose something different. I ain't mad. That's fine. You can go ahead and color that in now. All right, so those are my 3. Now, you'll be doing the same thing with text later on, but I'd like you to practice slide 46 on your own. What are 3 images you'd like to highlight? Then, same thing for slide 47. What are 3 images that you'd like to highlight, getting rid of all the other parts? All right, then you're going to go back over a few different parts. Let's practice annotating real quick with just this cover page, right? Do you see anything that connects? Well, I see 2 kids running here, and part of me expects they might be running to join their friend to play there. My question is, why are they running? I have an idea, but I'm not sure. The talk is in big letters, so that seems important. And I don't see a ton about central idea, so probably the title will give us a clue there. You should see a check mark at the bottom of 48. I'd like you to find two connections using these blue magnifying glasses there. What seems important? Use the yellow there. If what's something you have a question about, use the purple question there. And then look at that check mark. What's something that has something to do with the central idea there? Go ahead now and annotate page 49. Yes, indeed. Now, let's take a look at some of the connotations and denotations, right? I don't see any negative words from that last page, but I do, well, maybe stop. But rest and stories aren't really intrinsically good or bad. So I'm going to put this one next to stories. Maybe rest is especially important to you, but I know that heroes are almost always positive connotations. So I'll put a green star there. I'll do the same thing when I have the full text right here, right? I see rest there, stop, heroes, Olympic, right? Those are my positive connotations for the blue stars, my negative for the red, and my neutral with the gray. Then I'd like you to turn it into a blackout poem, right? What does that involve? It involves blacking out highlighting the connotations. So I've got my good connotations for heroes and Olympics, good connotations for stories, I feel, and rest. And I want to keep, I think that's where we'll stop there. And I got my negative for stop. And my neutral for, let's go with our neutral for we. Now I can make a little blackout poem. Let me make that a little less big by dragging the circle down. And I'll get rid of when. And I'll get rid of he tells us. I'm going to get rid of about and get rid of all that. We stop to rest. Stories, Olympic heroes. Ooh, so it becomes almost about the characters in the book. I like that. Then I'm going to make that big again and draw a picture of my poem on the other side. So I got to click back over there to white. Got to white it out. And I'd like your picture to be more complicated than mine. Mine is just going to be of the Olympics. So it's going to be little rings, right? Too big. I'll undo. So I'll get those Olympic rings. I can certainly search it up if I forgot the colors, because guess what? I do. So 1, 2, 3, and I'll do the colors for those later. But that goes in my little poem. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to annotate. You're going to find negative, positive, and neutral connotations. And then you're going to find those connotations again, embedded in the novel. And then finally, you're going to turn it into your very own blackout poem. Thanks for following along today. Good job. Try your best. Way to be.